James's dinner is lentils with carrots on the bottom, rice, some stewed or steamed kale, and then bell peppers and some hemp hearts with some hemp hearts. And I'm going to talk about the Pretendians. That's not top of the stack, actually. There's no stack today. CSI seasons 1 till 5. And that's mostly what I've been watching while writing poetry, and I found that worked out really well for me. So I would highly recommend it if you're like me, if your brain works like me, and you're writing out some memories into verse, then yeah, you might want to go for that. So I guess if you liked CSI when it was hot, because I did. I mean, this wasn't the first time I've watched them. I've watched all of these before, probably several, because James and I would watch it. I've mentioned before. Oh, anyway, oh, it's a cool morning today. It's been cool the past few days, and so I wore my winter coat, or one of my winter coats. This one's great because I can wear big wool sweaters and stuff underneath. My Carthew.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Should have brought a blanket for you or something. So this is only 45 minutes long, and it's not even actually 45 minutes long. It does run that long, but the last bit is just like they're re-showing some scenes for I don't know why. The right time? I don't know, but it's it wasn't too bad. It's a 2023 educational release, and I love the cover. I think the cover's great, but honestly,
It sounds worrisomely politically correct, but
well, I'll read you my notes that I made, and then we can talk about it. So he mentioned a few people at first that I hadn't known about. I guess they're famous people: Joseph Boyden, Michelle Latimer, and then there was a U of Saskatchewan Indigenous health expert who was fired for being a pretend Indian. That was Carrie Barassa. She was forced to resign. Curve Lake First Nation is where this filmmaker is from. He passes as white, Drew Hayden Taylor. And
what does that mean? He looks white?
He looks white.
Okay.
And there were, he showed a few people that looked like this. Carrie Barassa, she looks very native. I don't know. I don't know the story behind that. I can't, and really.
The one who was witch hunted out of her job?
Yeah. I don't know the story behind that, and he didn't really provide, he didn't provide the story behind it. So I guess maybe he was assuming that everybody knew about it or something. He didn't. That's one thing that I had a problem with, is he mentioned these people, Joseph Boyd and Michelle Latimer. I don't know them, and I don't know about this character. So, right away going into it, I didn't have the information, and it was not given.
Wow,
I mean, the film is not long. I don't know why the information wasn't given. So
it should have been a little longer, is what you're saying.
Sure. Tourists spend over $1 billion a year on Indigenous art, but 75% of the shops sell inauthentic art.
What does inauthentic mean? Something that isn't made by Indigenous
people? I don't know. I mean, they went into a shop, and it looked like places to buy souvenirs, so there were like little fake totem poles and it said Vancouver on them, whatever. Like, I don't know, do people actually buy those things thinking, oh yeah, this is authentic native art? I don't think they would. Or like he showed a little doll that I don't know. I think that, it's just, they're souvenirs, right? I mean, if you went to Venice and you bought some little trinket that would look like a little boat that they steer down the canals, I don't think you'd be thinking, oh yeah, this is authentic, So I don't know. I don't know if that part just seemed kind of stupid to me. But anyway, he said do research to make sure of authenticity.
Yeah.
And yeah, why not? There would be, he showed the totem stuff and whatever, but honestly, it would be with the actual art itself. There might be some person who looks authentically native who is wanting to sell you some art that he or she made on the street, and you might think, yeah, that's awesome, I'm gonna get this authentic native art. Well, and it might just be a photocopy or something. Why not deal with that? That seems more of an issue. Anyway, Mike Dansley is an artist and carver. Says you need to know the history before you do a piece. A totem pole tells a story. He doesn't think that people who weren't raised in the Haida environment should carve totem poles. So, I don't know.
How about we say no one can write if they weren't raised in a written environment.
Yeah, it's honestly, that's how I felt about it. Listening to that, I'm like, that's kind of ridiculous. Whatever, it's a different
most
art
people
style.
in the world wouldn't have a writing system.
Anyway, if they carved the totem pole and they said this is a authentic totem pole, and it wasn't, then whatever, that's another issue. But the fact they can do it, they can do it if they want to. Learn it. It's an awesome skill. I think the art looks cool.
I think it kind of looks okay. I don't think it's that grand.
I like it.
I like it okay. But like I say,
I'd like to learn how to carve, but then I worry I would carve off my fingers or other parts of me, and I haven't.
There's other artistic traditions that are as good or frankly better.
They don't recognize the Nova Scotia Métis as Métis. They haven't been from Métis communities and don't have enough Métis ancestry. So I guess that was going from, showed in the video, there were native groups, like Métis groups, I suppose, in Quebec or Ontario or something, that they were having issue with people in Nova Scotia saying that they were, what's the term that they use now? Not Micmac, it's like
Mi'kmaq or whatever.
Like that,
they
whatever.
Mispronounce it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And
one of these days I'm going to learn the real way and not the politically correct way.
So they were saying, well, the people that are claiming to be Métis in Nova Scotia now, I guess there's a big thing. I didn't know about it, but I guess there is. And there's a bunch of them that are saying we're Métis and we want to be recognized as such.
Yeah.
And other people, I guess other Métis or Métis people from other groups are not wanting to recognize them because they're saying, well, you have almost no Métis ancestry or whatever, and you haven't been raised in this culture. And so they're saying if you're not raised in this culture, then you're not authentic, sort of thing, right? And
really offensive.
Yeah, especially, that's what I found too, because I thought, gee, especially in this time when there's all this talk about the natives losing their culture from going to the resident schools and stuff like that. Okay, so do those people, do they get to claim that they're natives when their culture is erased then? Come on. This is a dangerous game you guys are playing.
Oh, it's awful. It is racist. Toronto.
Yep. The Native Alliance sold cards for $350 each, so folks could avoid paying taxes on gas. Fake status cards were being made, sold, and turned down eventually because they were fake, right? Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of people who, like farmers, who will burn purple when they're going into town or whatever. And you're not supposed to. You're only supposed to use that gas. But, so whatever, that's... White women who married into First Nation used to get Native status and keep it even after a divorce. And they thought this was wrong.
Who thought it was?
I don't know, some Native chick that was being interviewed. And
So she was saying
honestly,
white women
the
should
producer,
retain their status.
yeah, once they're divorced.
Well, if they got kids, what the heck?
Yeah. Cherokee is most often impersonated. Robert Lovelace at Queen's had 0 Cherokee ancestry. That's what was found.
Well, I want to see a little freaking proof.
That's just it too,
Who
because
was
then they
he?
were talking
Queen?
about other people who they were being, basically they were being witch hunted online. There was one woman who, she said, no, I'm Native, and you know, she was saying her father's side was Micmac or whatever. It's not Micmac anymore. And her mother's side was Celtic or something like that. So anyway, and she was saying they were witch hunting her online and saying that she was a Pretendian. And she said they provided DNA proof that of this, and she said it wasn't even right on her mother's side. She said it was inaccurate on her mother's side.
What was inaccurate?
The proof that they had.
Who said that?
The woman herself, who was called a Pretendian. The people who came to her and said, this is the proof that you're not a native, that you're not
What a
Métis.
bunch of stunts.
And apparently she said it wasn't even right on her mother's side.
Okay.
And so you got to wonder about this stuff.
It's witch hunting. It's classic. You lefties, you stop witch hunting. You've been doing it ever since the commies.
Well, what I worry about actually is I worry about the natives losing their rights over this.
I don't know what will happen. What is this about? You know, someone's got a bit of Micmac in them or whatever, and
embrace
it's not
it.
enough.
Rejoice.
Jesus,
you know,
God.
love it. Why would you say, "Oh no, then you're not one of us"? You know, whatever.
Well,
no.
I mean,
say, "Great, that's so good that, yay, more of us or whatever, more."
But how many
people and people liking being native or being part, whatever. That's great. That's great. Anyway.
How many people are real racists going around? Hey, I'm native. 0, -1. You stupid idiots.
Well, I don't know. Like when I first was watching this, I was thinking, oh well, that's funny, you know, right? He was showing people, or well, he showed a form, and he said people can go to university and check off, yeah, I have Native ancestry, and they get scholarships and whatever, and nobody checks it out to see if they are, right?
Well,
and you could check off, you go to get a job, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm Native, whatever, and then you get in, and it turns out, oh, wait a minute, you just checked it off. Because you were talking about how the city of Lethbridge here, they had a policy or something like that, that if they'd found that some people lied about their qualifications, and they had this policy that if you were found that, yeah, you lied about your qualifications, but you actually did the job and
you weren't
whatever,
caught in time,
then they didn't fire you.
That's exactly right.
So when I first watched or picked this up to watch, I thought, yeah, I could see how that would be a problem. But then, I mean, don't go this route, you know. Just try to look at, okay, well, what's there? If there's a problem here, how can we solve it? And actually, I don't think that there should be. Honestly, I don't think there should be any benefits for employment that way. You should be able to, like, if you're a native and you go to school for free for a university, that's great. But I think, honestly, I think everybody should be going to university for free. If you can keep your grades up,
Yeah, exactly right.
do it.
Yeah.
We're all better off if more of us are educated.
So long as people are maintaining their grades and getting through. But, like, Indigenous people are so unfairly treated. They get special education privileges. What's wrong with this picture? Oh, you guys don't see anything wrong. Well, I won't say you guys, but there's some of you, you politically correct idiots who haven't signed off yet. You have no clue.
Oh, I have to explain this a little bit. I didn't write it down. So, I have this next bit about Ardoch. So, apparently Ardoch is this place where Robert Lovelace was a chief for a while, I think. But anyway, they're claiming that it's a native community, or a Métis community, maybe? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't really know enough about it, and honestly, I was watching this right after I woke up and trying to make notes, but the video really wasn't for me. So, Ardoch is not recognized as or by First Nations. Ardoch is still employed. No, not Ardoch. Ardoch is the place. I wrote that down wrong. Robert Lovelace is still employed at Queen's.
Okay.
Even though he was claiming that he was native and all this, but he was claiming to be Cherokee, which I guess a lot of Cherokee is, a lot of people claim to be
Really
when they're
popular.
not. I don't know why.
I'm
Is
Cherokee.
it cool? Is it more cool to be Cherokee than
I don't think any native group is cool to be.
what's cool?
Um,
Anyway, so I guess that's in fashion, Cherokee.
There's one that actually developed their own writing system. It might be the Cherokee. They were highly civilized. They became merchants and stuff like that. And I think it was like from around Alabama. They got punted up to Oklahoma. Yes, that's ethnic cleansing. And the United States did a lot of ethnic cleansing. Not so much genocide. Like some of you folks that are always hyperventilating about this, that, and the other thing. The United States did very little genocide. There's a lot of people died from diseases and stuff like that. But the United States did an immense amount of ethnic cleansing.
And one thing I didn't mention at the beginning of the show, he showed himself doing one of those popular genetic, like, ancestry tests. And he sent it off, and at the end he said, okay, so I got my results back from this ancestry thing.
Okay.
And here's what it says.
Okay.
And then the screen went black. He didn't give what his ancestry was.
That's what they claim.
I actually didn't,
That's what they claim.
What?
They claim he didn't give it.
Well, he didn't. It's his movie.
Was he claiming he was Indigenous?
Yeah, at the beginning. He was raised in whatever Curve Lake First Nation. He lived there until he was 7 years old.
And then he's saying, I'm not Indigenous? Is that what he's saying with the black screen or what?
Well, no, well, honestly, you don't know, right? He could be not. And I liked it because it kind of said, it's none of your business whether I am or not.
Is he actually saying that, though? Is he exposing these stupid idiots who are politically correct idiots?
Well, he's not really saying all the way along, right? Like,
Okay.
He's just, sometimes he'll agree with people. He's like, there needs to be, a line drawn or whatever, and it's
Gotcha. Well, okay.
But I don't know.
I don't think there should be a line drawn.
I don't think so either.
I mean,
think
if people are just totally
people
making it up, then they've got a problem. Maybe they need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But to go witch hunting unless they're getting jobs out of it, stuff like that. It's evil. EVIL. There is such a thing as evil. And you witch hunting lefties, all one half of you left watching, you are evil. All caps.
Well,
Exclamation mark before and after.
I think that there needs to be more jobs that are, like, there needs to be a step process. When I went to work at the research center in Lethbridge, I was really impressed with their hiring system and stuff like that. They had, first I had a written exam that I had to do, and it was pretty, I mean, I was just working on grounds when I got the job. That's what it was. I was doing landscaping sort of stuff. So it's not really anything too major. It's not like there's a lot of really smart people who work at the research center who know a lot. But anyway, the exam was very good. I thought, they put together an exam that should weed out people who actually don't know what they're talking about. And that's how it should be. People should get this written exam that shows that. And it should be just double blind. You don't need to know what the person looks like, how they
better
speak,
not know.
and you shouldn't. Yeah. So, and then you can have an interview from there, where people are asking a little more in-depth questions or whatever. But I don't see the point in,
It's endless if we start setting quotas for this, that, and other thing. Exams. Double blind. They should be objectively ranked, objectively administered, and objectively marked. All the way down the line. Universities, hiring, stuff like that. So I'm listening to 960, The Fan, out of Calgary. So I've been watching, listening to a little baseball, stuff like that. Listening to a lot while I'm trying to recuperate. And here's, they get a lot of their feed from the United States CBS. So here's the guy. American football is, I think he was using the term racist, because they have low hiring standards in administration. Okay, let's review. You know what the Black American or African American population in the United States is percentage-wise? 13%. How many football players are African American in the United States, in the NFL? 60 to 70%. That's overrepresented. And I suggest to you folks out there that they're pretty objective. They actually want to win the Super Bowl. If someone's better than someone else, they're going to get the frickin' job. It wasn't always that way. When we look at baseball, the first African American baseball player, I think, was 1948. Just a little while before I was born. Now, they're not overrepresented. I don't, at least seriously overrepresented, because there are so many Latin Americans. The Latin Americans, basically, I'd say, per capita are better than the white or black or whatever Americans. So, you tend to think, I used to think, the Mexicans play baseball. They freaking well don't. The Brazilians play baseball. They freaking well don't. The Chileans play baseball. They don't. Argentinians don't. No, they don't. It's just a small number of Latin American countries, basically in the Caribbean. Venezuela, I think Colombia. It'd be like the Dominican Republic, not even Haiti, that's French. Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, they love baseball. And they play it well. And if they play it well, better than other people, then they should be hired selectively based on their talents, not on their race or indigeneity or whatever like that. So, I don't know who all gets hired in the United States for baseball teams, for front office jobs and all that sort of stuff. I think in most cases they're going to go, okay, you can handle the job. Why would they hire someone who can't handle it? Oh, you're white and you're lousy at this. Let's hire you. There's no percentage in it. Like this is old news about the United States being racist when it comes to their sports. Old news. So what they should do, of course, is for every job, objective, everything gets tested for. Objectively framed testing, objectively administered, and objectively marked. And if some group is underrepresented, it's up to them to get out there and pull up their socks individually and improve their marks. In the case of marks in the United States, from what I can gather, people from a so-called Oriental background, I don't know what the politically correct term is, in high school study more than white folks, white kids, whatever you want, whatever the political people of non-color, and they get better marks, as they should.
All right, so
people of African American ancestry study way less, and they get way lower marks. They should be studying more, and consequently, I'm going to tell you, I have faith in them. If they study more, the way they study football and
okay, I'm going to talk a
dancing and
little
stuff
more
like
about
that,
this because this
they'll
went
get
off
great
on a
marks.
topic in a direction, whatever.
What was that?
I'm going to talk a little more about this.
Okay.
So,
I thought you were through.
well, you raised an interesting point at the end. Like,
Yeah.
I had liked the fact that he didn't show his DNA results or whatever.
Yeah,
But-
maybe that's the point. It really isn't anyone's business.
No, it isn't anyone's business. But, I mean, you are left thinking, okay, well, maybe he wasn't very much. Maybe he's a Pretendian too, or whatever. And
Pretendians,
who cares?
It's where they want to draw the line. You can see with these Micmac.
Yeah.
Oh, not quite good enough there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too, because
That's just racist.
there's a lot of Native people who actually would think, yeah, that's great that they're Métis too or whatever. And there's a lot of Native people who have looked into, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, well, everyone should look into the stories about Redhorn. And there's a great course that I can't remember the name of right now, but it's one where a guy was teaching about the various Native American cultures, and I found it to be really interesting.